runs the length of the field. So that will be the second try. Great.
Through over the line.
Number 21. And here comes a try for Police Sports Club.
Flags are up. Left foot and CNSC come back.
Chance, a lovely inside pass to number 20.
Can he go all the way? Yes, he does. Try from Havelock Sports Club.
But it won't matter because Navy have scored under the sticks.
Putting good pressure at collects and scores. End-to-end stuff. Candy Sports Club. How about that one?
Lovely inside movement, and that is an absolute gem of a try.
Championship winning team from Candy Sports Club.
And we're down we go, 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 go. And we're down we go, 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 go. So we're down we go.
A very good afternoon to all our viewers. Welcome to Dialog Rugby League 2017-18 and the final leg or final round of the first final week of the first round rather here at the Racecourse International Stadium as the Soldiers will host the Airmen today, and it's a hot and humid day out here. It's a 4 p.m. kickoff and both teams will be eyeing for the very interesting contest. Air Force somehow managed to make that important win over Police Sports Club, but since then they are yet to score another threatening impact or a performance. Joining me in the commentary, Abdullah Yusuf. A very good afternoon to you, Abdullah.
Afternoon, Sabir. Yes, we have entered the final week of this first round. It's been a pretty interesting first round overall. The Soldiers, I think, have done extremely well in during this period. With this win, they've got a chance to go up as high as third, I believe, at the end of this game, which I'm sure they'll be looking forward to. The Airmen, on the other hand, though notching up, as you mentioned, just that single win against the Police, they haven't disgraced themselves on many occasions. They have been very competitive, but unfortunately just haven't been able to take that final step and notch up victories.
Both the skippers, Air Force, Surya Krishan, and for Manoj Bandara, the wing three-quarter, we didn't see much of him playing, but he was missed out for the first two games due to injury. The wing three-quarter for Army, the skipper, but Air Force skipper is not playing today, and but they have some luxury names in the likes of Gayantha Iddamalgoda and Charit Seniratne, the two vital aspects of the Air Force team in terms of their experience, Abdullah.
Yeah, that's right. I think they'll be crucial to today's game on how well they try and run that Air Force line. The forwards generally have been able to give some good quality ball to the backs. It's just that the backs, I think, have let the team down by not putting those finishing touches. So today really there won't be any excuses from either team's point of view. The skies look absolutely clear. I don't think we'll experience much thunder showers. The ground is dry, and I think we're in for a really entertaining game.
Yeah, it's a 74% humidity. You can see 11 kilometer per hour the wind speed, but as this game progress, we might see a late sun might come into effect, the light might come into effect, we might never know, but Army will be looking solid because they like to keep that winning momentum up in the air. And of course both the coaches, especially coach Nilfa Ibrahim, have done his duty quite well, but for Air Force there was a coaching struggle. We'll talk about that, but here's the team card for you. Shehan Silva and the experienced Asoka Jala and Siddharth Nanayakara in the front row, Adhikaram and Sampath in the lock combination, Vijay Muni Ratnayaka and Chamira Silva as the loose forward, and Manjula Veerasinghe, he'll be a valuable player in terms of decision making. The halfback, no Mohammad Rizvi starting today. And Ashan Bandara, Sudaraka Dikkumbra, the speeds, Madhuranga and Bulat Singhal in the centre combination, Manoj Bandara and Gayan Sal in another experienced player in the fullback and the wing position. At the bench, Madhusanka Liyanage, Karunaratna, Manoj Silva, another experienced who also captained Army Sports Club before. Sampath Kumar, Kumar Singh, Janit Lanka, Chandrasekhar and Jayatunga are the bench. It's a pretty much strong bench in terms of experience as well. And going through the Air Force team, Charles Praveen, Bandara, Madagedara, another 3 experienced. Charles, of course, 115 kg. And in the lock combination, Madhusanka and Nilantha, Silva, Udaya Kumar and Viral, another experienced player in the loose forward. And Nadish Pereira as the halfback. Gayantha Iddamalgoda, we were talking about him. His decision making will be vital for the Air Force. And Hevage, Charit Seniratna, his kicking skills come into counter as the game progresses. Surya Krishan, Amila Bandara and Ramdas will be the other in the backs. In the bench, Kasun Desanayaka Pereira, Frank, Veeraratna Pereira, Seelagam, young Anthonian player, and Anjana Vinod will be the bench for Air Force.
Yes, it's interesting omission from that Air Force lineup is Radhesh Seniratna. I thought at the start of the season he was easily the most outstanding forward in the Air Force ranks. His ability to turn over ball at the breakdown proved crucial, but unfortunately it's not clear why he's not in that lineup, but I guess we'll be able to uncover that a bit later on.
Yes, indeed, he was absolutely brilliant, a mean machine in those breakdowns. And Air Force surely will miss him. Despite he's giving away so many yellow cards almost all the games, but when we speak to him, he says that it's not his fault, it's the referee's fault of the
Well, you can expect that from most number 7s. It's never is their fault, is it, Sabir? It's always the referee's fault. Most number 7s like to play the game on the edge, and they tend to go over the line sometimes, and they're always under the watchful eyes of the referees, so it's always those 50-50 calls that generally go either way that makes such a big difference. But I think Air Force will miss his presence, but nonetheless I think another matchup to watch today, Sabir, will be the game between the 2 number 10s, Iddamalgoda from Air Force and Ashan Bandara. He's been a real revelation for Army this year. He scored that hat-trick of tries against Sia. That was invaluable in them to get the victory.
Priya Suranga, Dinka Pires the experienced man as the AR, and Pradeep Indika. Suranga likes to give yellow cards. If the intensity is there in the game, we'll have a look. And Army will attack from right to left, also facing the sun. And the fullback Gayan Salinder to take the kick-off. Changing directions immediately. Nice and high. It's almost catchable position, but Army knocks it on early on. So Air Force will have the put in. Here's that replay, and the scrum half just could not hang on to it. Maybe that was the wing three-quarter, Manoj Bandara. So here's the first scrum. The physicality will be tested here, especially the front row. Army has the experience, Air Force has the weight. Nadish Pereira sending out to Pabsara Hevage. Iddamalgoda switching direction, and he just got caught in the Army defense. Air Force just need to come out of their own jail. Nadish Pereira, the halfback, taking a bit more time on that occasion. Supun Madhusanga, the number 16, into contact. And here's Iddamalgoda. Salinder feeding the sun. He needs to give away. He had numbers onto his left. And then support. And here's Manjula Veerasinghe now. Army has the position. Can they go forward with their heavy forwards? Asoka Jayalal just placing, but it was a pick and run by Ratnayaka. Another experienced campaigner for the Soldiers. Here's big man Shehan Silva. Straight away into traffic. Sending out wide. Ashan Bandara sending out numbers. Lovely fend off. And a very good fend by number 11, Sudarka Dikumra, the speedster. And number 8, Shamira Silva cuts inside. Bandara to Asoka Jalal and he knocks it on. Looks like knocks back. Play continues. Is it a turnover? Yes. Here's a chance for Air Force to come out of jail now. Idda Malgoda, Charit Seneratna. Lovely skill by Surya Krishan. Charles Praveen comes with his pace, but he knocks it on. Here's another advantage being played. Just need to send some quick hands. And Bulat Singhala puts the ball into space, but probably it's not the right decision. But the game is moving from both the ends, Abdullah.
Yes, unfortunately, both teams guilty of losing the ball in contact on that occasion. Sabir, especially Army in that previous couple of phases, definitely had the Air Force defense on the back foot. But again, as we have seen so many times in this first round of the league, players losing the ball at crucial times in contact. And that's an area which I think coaches need to focus on, because you do all the hard work, and just when you have that opportunity, you're just a couple of phases more before you have the opportunity to cross that line, you go and commit that kind of error. And both teams were guilty on that occasion.
Yes, indeed. Here's Nadish Pereira taking the 22 restart. And it was collected by Dikkumra, the danger man. Good tackle by Nilantha Jayavira, the lock forward. Now here's Ami. Veera Singh sending it to Silva. Air Force not committing too many numbers on the breakdown, but they have numbers out wide. Again, poor handling. Look where Asoka Jailal is in the far corner. Former captain. And this time Madhuranga into contact. The center. Ball comes loose. Play on, says referee Priya Suranga. Rightly so. Army just need to hang on position. Here's Tirusha Adhikaram now into contact. Scrum of Manjula Veerasinghe. Almost an obstruction, but referee let it play. Good tackle by Air Force number 8. Saraka Veralla, the experienced guy. Sanjay Ratnayaka beats his first defense and made a valuable 3 to 4 meters. Here's Ashan Bandara. Sending it to number 28, that's Bulat Singhala. Turnover once again, brilliant stuff by Air Force. Papsara Hevage waiting for his support. Charles Praveen arrives on time. Nadish Pereira to Idda Malgoda. Air Force using their pods in the center field. Another poor piece of handling. Not going well for both the teams, but referee Priya Suranga will come back for that knock on. So everything happening here, Abdullah.
Yes, it's all very hectic, isn't it, Sabir? But both teams unable to make much headway. They just need to show a bit more patience. In defense, I thought both teams have done well to maintain their discipline. But it's just that they just seem to force the issue at the wrong time, and they seem to be taking the wrong options. And but nonetheless, I think the way this game is progressing, both teams are intent on moving the ball, which is very encouraging. But they've just got to cut out those errors at crucial times, which is unfortunately not enabling them to just take that extra step forward and get some points on the board.
Indeed, it's still nil all. Also, I want to ask you, Abdullah, the width of this field, we see that there's no boundary boards here, but how much psychologically effect on those players?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I guess you have to be playing to actually understand. Sometimes just extra 5 meters either way can make a big difference, especially if you're on the wing or for that matter, even if you are a loose forward. But overall, I think the conditions, I think, can be quite demanding, especially in this kind of weather, if the ground is actually bigger than the size you have practiced on.
And here's the first scrum for Army. Shamira Silva breaks from the shorter side. Good tackle coming by Air Force, but in fact it's not legally so. Silva sending out to Bandara. Army still with position inside the opposite 22. A pick and run by Army, lock forward. Sampath. Brilliant piece of run by Asoka Jayalal, and he offloads to his supportive runner. And the ball comes loose. Referee playing advantage, killing the ball on the ruck. And it's a very good opportunity to put 3 points for Gayan Salinder. But what would be the call? Will they go for touch?
It's an interesting call. I think so earlier on you do well to go for the 3 points. I think Salinder has been very reliable throughout this first round with his boot. But Air Force, the difference between both teams, Air Force actually seem to be making ground whenever they have the ball in hand. And as we can see there, they've expressed their desire to try and score tries by opting for the scrum. So Air Force making their intentions very clear. The difference so far, Sabir, which I've seen between both these teams is while Air Force also have got possession, they've actually managed to breach the first line of defense more often than what Air Force have done whenever they have had possession. So I think that's the result why Army rather have gone for the scrum.
Yeah, that's the high tackle you saw on the replays. Rightly so, Priya Surangal letting the game advantage to be played. And here's another scrum. Veerasinghe, it's picked up by the number 8 Silva, Chamira Silva, all the way running into the 10-12 channel. Quick ball coming in. Gayan Salinder with a lovely long pass, and Sudharaka Dikkumbura says thank you very much. And here comes the first try for the Soldiers. 5 points to 0 with the conversion to come, and lovely piece of celebration too.
Oh, beautiful skip pass. I think that was fantastic vision by Bandara once again. He hit the line at pace, saw the defense had rushed up and found the Kumbura open out wide. So great vision by Ashan on that occasion, and that just enables Army to draw first blood. It can Air Force, I think, need to be a bit careful here. They just got the entire defense structure wrong there. They were over eager to charge up, not keeping their alignment, and that resulted in Army to make the first try. As we have a look at that again, you see the Air Force winger coming off his line, and that just enabled the Kumbura to just basically stroll over. So while it was good vision by Ashan Bandara, it was also, I guess, pretty poor defense by the Air Force team.
And also that call for the scrum, they are very confident. I think it was Asoka Jayal, the experience, who just instruct the referee that they want a scrum. But here's a difficult angle. Army's a long time servant, Gayan Salinder. And he has the distance, but not this time.
It also shows the confidence of both teams in terms of where they're positioned in the league table. Air Force find themselves at the bottom, basically just above Police, in 7th position, by Army are finding themselves in the top 4. So that confidence in their ability is also reflected in the decisions that they make. And I think if Air Force don't try and score some tries earlier on, it could be a long day in the park for them.
Yes, indeed. There's a lot of action remaining in the second round, but this is the last week of the first round in the Dialog Rugby League, and you're watching this live on your #1 sports hub, www.thepapare.com, as Gayan Salinder puts in fact, Iddamal Goda rather puts a long thumping kick, but it comes in favor of Army. All the way 10 to 12 meters back after the restart.
Yes, it is one of those counterproductive tapbacks, wasn't it, by Air Force? I thought they did extremely well to retrieve the ball, but the ball unfortunately went loose. And a boot from one of the Army forwards resulted in them back in Air Force's own half. So, so all the hard work was done. I don't think it quite, the result did not justify the means, really.
Pandula Bandara sends it out, and here's Iddamal Goda. Lovely running angle by Air Force number 8, Saraka Veralla. Here's Iddamal Goda. Puts the kick, and it was Jailal who's trying to get that ball, but Saraka Veralla picks it. Army still has the difficulty to catch the high balls with the sun coming in, and beautiful run by Charles Praveen. Iddamal Goda once again sending it to Saraka Veralla. Numbers. Lovely step and cut inside by the fullback Rumesh Ramdas. Here's Nadish Pereira. Lovely work by Iddamal Goda. Sniping through that channel. Air Force have the numbers. Not the right decision probably. But here's again 3-on-1 situation. But for the first time they are entering the Army's 22. Lovely pass by Iddamal Goda to tight head prop Ranuka Madagedara. Here's Iddamal Goda once again. He beats almost all the tackle. And lovely offload. And try time in the corner. Excellent piece of work by Air Force. Keeping the position. And the number 14, Amila Bandara.
That was a fantastic try, Sabir. I think that's got to have been one of the tries of this first round, really. Forwards, three quarters, both handling the ball beautifully, finding the space. And what was interesting is that last play, the amount of passes they managed to make in that 5-meter channel, just running straight, making the passes beautifully, creating space for the men outside. Fantastic work by Air Force. And they have struck back immediately, making their intentions very, very clear. So full credit for Air Force. We're talking about them needing to strike back immediately, and they have just done that.
And this man, number 10, Iddamal Goda, has been brilliant. Every time he gets the ball, he's trying to make those yards.
And that's what I was talking about, Sabir. Within that 10-meter channel, there were at least about 4 passes after Iddamal Goda made that initial break. So great stuff by Air Force. If they can show that kind of enterprise throughout this game, they will cause a lot of problems to this Air Force defense.
Brilliant. And here's Charit Seneviratna. And the conversion is good. So it's all, in fact, it's 7 points to 5. Air Force come into the lead.
Well, what will be interesting to see, Sabir, is whether both teams can maintain this pace during the game. It's been a very high pace. Both teams willing to throw the ball around, which is just absolutely great. The secret will be to see whether they'll be able to maintain this kind of play and whether their fitness levels will be able to be maintained throughout the 80-minute period.
Here's Gayan Salinda to take the restart. And that's not the restart they wanted. But here comes the bounce of the ball. You cannot predict it. And Air Force struggling inside their 22 as Seneviratna, who converted. In fact, it's Popsar Hevage. Air Force using their faces. There's a gap comes open through. Sending out wide Nadish. What a long pass by Charles Praveen. Here's the try scorer. Can he go all the way? Looks like he got the gas, and that offload should have collected, but it's very hard, very low center of gravity. But here comes the counter attack as Ashan Bandara showing what Gahanta Iddamal Goda can do. He too can do, but he finds touch, unfortunately. But Army will take that, Abdullah. Almost a try.
Yeah, what great rugby by both teams, really. Just that final pass once again, just not going into hand from Air Force point of view, and Amit counter-attacking fantastic well. We've spoken about, as we have a look at that again, a wonderful run by Bandara, just trying to make that final pass to Ramdas, not getting hands, and Air Force recovering through Ashan Bandara, who looks for counter-attack. It would have been better if he had straightened his line and just tried to pass the ball, but deciding to go by himself. Fortunately for Air Force, some good cover defense enabling them to bundle them into touch.
It's interesting passage of play. This game is going to the industrial work rate by both the teams. And looks like Army will have the opportunity to gain more territory.
Thought that was a bit of a harsh call. I thought it was tapped back into the Air Force players' hands, but referee Priya thinking otherwise. So nonetheless, Air Force, an opportunity to get back into the Air Force 25 and launch another attack. Gayan Salinda just thumps it. It'll be just outside the 22, but nonetheless a good attacking opportunity for both teams.
And talk about that pass of Charles Perrin to his left. Maybe he's trying to put his name to the national 7 selectors.
Well, at 125 kgs, if he can move the way he should, carrying that kind of weight, I'm sure he'll be a great asset for sevens. But in all honesty, I don't think so, Sabir.
Here's Ashok Jailal now. Ami did struggle in the lineouts in their last game, but this time it was neatly taken by Vijay Muni. Veera Singh sending it to Bandara, in fact Ratnayaka, and Bandara waits, number 10. It's a long pass, almost a knock on, juggles through and collect it very well, and here's another chance coming. Wing to quarter, Bandara puts some dazzling step, and that's a knock on, throw piece of work by Army once again. It's not the first time they knocked the ball on. So advantage still be played. Here's Idam Algoda. Lovely basketball pass. This is brilliant by Air Force. Unfortunately knocks it on. It's going to be a non-stop play. Both the teams showing great immense of running rugby as Dikumara goes into contact. They just need to have some patience now. Keep the position. Bandara with a long pass to Jailal. Oh, Jailal, a no-look pass, too casual. But number 12, Charit Seniratne, just says thank you very much, Mr. Jailal, and goes under the post.
Well, it's been to and fro, Shabir. The way this game was panning out, there was going to be an error from either one of these teams, and it came off the hands of Ashok Jailal, the experienced campaigner, just trying to put a very cheeky inside pass, but Seniratne read that beautifully and intercepted. So absolutely against the run of play. Air Force take a lead, which should be the conversion to come. 14 points should be the case very, very comfortably. But also I think just before you take this conversion, how good has Idam Algoda been from Air Force's point of view? His quick footwork has been amazing. He's been able to find those gaps in the Army defense, and he's really posed a lot of questions, and he's managed to get through that first line of defense. It's important that the supporting runners just follow him on his side, and if they can do that, I think there'll be much more opportunities for Air Force.
Absolutely, and here's the try scorer himself with the conversion, and there's no love lost, especially when the forces play each other. There's always that battle coming in. Rightly so, referee Priya Suranga sending the Army team just by the try line. But Charit Seniratne, he don't want to take too much of time. So it's 14 points to Air Force, 5 points to Army.
Well, it's a sparse crowd here today, Sabir, but whoever have turned up to the ground have definitely got their money's worth so far. As we have a look again at that replay, a no-look pass. Seniratne read that beautifully, just stuck his hand out, caught the ball, and just had an open field. So whoever has been here so far, I think, has got their money's worth, as I mentioned earlier. Both teams have showed great intent to move the ball about at high risk. Some of it hasn't quite paid off, as we saw in that last phase. But nonetheless, I think it's great entertaining rugby.
Looks like due to the heat, they are taking a minute or two break as this as the end of the first quarter of this exciting game. And talking about that, Abdullah, in case if Charit Seniratne knocks it on, is it going to be deliberate, or because it's only the left hand came into action?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, I think the rule is that if your movement is downwards, if you try and slap the ball down, then I think you will be penalized, and it could go to the extent of even getting a yellow card. So I think Seniratne will also thank his lucky stars that the ball stuck, not only in terms of getting the 7 points, but in terms of avoiding the yellow card, because then it becomes the referee's interpretation. So I think Air Force will consider themselves fortunate on both counts.
And here's the preparation. Just before the game, both teams did their warm-ups. And also Air Force, they have a luxury, a Crusader, Canterbury Crusader in their team, giving some coaching instruction. And they had Ronnie Ibrahim at the beginning of the season, but he's no more. He's now with CHNFC. Here's Walpola, former Isipatan player, national player and Candy player. Coach Nilfa Ibrahim instructing maybe he'll be need to make some changes in the halftime or at least in this break. And we are back live as Gayan Salinder puts a deep kick into the 22 as Saraka Verala sends it to Iddamal Goda with a lovely hairstyle. Good run by Nilantha Jayavira. We didn't see box kick coming from both the scrum halves, unlike we saw from Roshan Veeraratne and Rahul De Silva last night at Havelock Park.
While this is very positive from Air Force, I think they need to just clear their lines. They're playing far too much rugby in their own half, and it could prove crucial with one small error, and I just hope for their sake that they just clear their lines.
Absolutely, this is what Navy was doing against Candy back in Nittavala. And here's Charles Praveen. They have the confidence. They are leading by 9 points. But lovely break once again. It's that man, Iddamal Goda. Straight away going into contact. Ball comes loose. The referee says play on. And here's Nana Akara now. Roshan Sampath into contact. Army with position. Asoka Jailal bursting through. Good pick and run. Looks like a turnover coming in. It was held up. Yeah, it's a turnover. Brilliant stuff by Air Force. And Iddamal Goda at the breakdown. Well, Charles Praveen is showing a lot of skills even from the boot.
Yeah, very cynical by Lok Sampath from Air Force, from the Army on that occasion, just on the side of the ruck, just impeding the scrummer from passing the ball. It could very well have been termed cynical, Sabir, and the referee is entitled to go to the pocket on that occasion, but he just let that go. And again, we're talking about Air Force clearing their lines, but I guess Iddamal Goda, the form he is in, he's just intent on taking the ball to the line whenever he gets a chance. And again, when he takes the ball on the front foot and at pace, with his footwork, he's always managing to get the better of Ashan Bandara. We were talking about that battle between the fly halves at the start of the game. And so far, Iddamal Goda seems to have won that battle.
Lovely touch by Iddamal Goda. Air Force playing with so much confidence. Good to see that. Even without having some luxury names. Pandula Bandara, the hooker. Maybe Nilantha Jayavira the man to go up. The number 5. Clever piece of work by Air Force, just foxing the Army line out. A bit too slow by the scrum half. Again, Praveen using his power. Going for the shorter side. Looks like turnover, holding on on that occasion by Air Force number 17, Bandara. Great piece of work.
Yes, just finding himself isolated. When you go for those breakdowns, the player tracking needs to be followed very, very closely. And I think Bandara just being able to just get himself over that and causing the penalty in favor of his team. So I think Army would do well to just try and slow the pace of the game a bit. Their Air Force seem to be much more comfortable in playing with as much width and playing a much more open game. Air Force, Army rather seem to have more experience in that pack, and if they can just slow the pace down, I think it'll be in their favor.
Swishing the nets, Sri Lanka's number 1 and the very first basketball talk show joining on our number 1 sports hub. As we say, lovely run by Army. That's Tirusha Adhikaram showing his power. Lovely offload as well. Roshan Sampath pick and run, and another knock on this time.
Once again, Sabir losing the ball in contact. It's just played both teams in this game so far. They have, whenever they seem to have an opportunity to get onto the front foot, they lose the ball in contact, and both teams have been guilty of that. But again, the Malgoda is looking very, very dangerous. I think it's important that Army just emphasize on that inside 9 to 10 channel. Just make sure that their defenders are well guarded there, because he seems to have got the number of Bandara, his opposite number, on the Army team. So I think the inside defense need to help him a little bit, because his footwork is very, very good, and that's causing a lot of problems for the Army defense.
The weather really affecting these players. It's really hot out there.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see going into the second half whether both teams will be able to maintain this pace. The game has been played at a tremendous pace between both teams, and it's hard to see with this kind of humidity that's currently prevailing whether the teams will be able to maintain this level of intensity throughout the 80 minutes.
Still plenty of time remaining for the half time, and we'll see whether Air Force will opt to kick this into the Army zone. Off your screen, if you see Gayan Salinder, he's facing the sun. And here's the ball now, bounces. Salinder opt to run, beats the first defense. Good fend off on Pandula Bandara. So another knock on, giving away position.
Yeah, once again, poor communication. And I think one problem Army is facing is they're having too many forwards standing out, Sabir. And the first receiver generally has got to be a 3/4 unless he's taking it at very close 3/4, very close quarters. Too many forwards are just standing out, not getting involved at breakdown time, and that's causing confusion out wide. So Army will need to just reassess those kind of little things that's causing them some worries in this game so far.
Absolutely spot on, but that ball looks like nobody wants to take it from the scrum half, Veera Singh.
Yeah, that tends to happen when you don't know who your first receiver is. You don't want your front rows and your locks being so wide and being the first receiver. They've either got to be standing flat and close by to take those hits, or they have got to just get involved in the breakdown, because if the scrum half is going to make long passes, you'd want your fly half preferably to be the first receiver.
Absolutely, and they don't have the experience of Mohammad Rizvi. And referee Suranga is ready for the scrum. Did you watch any championship, Champions Cup games, Abdullah?
Had the opportunity of watching the Toulon versus Bath game yesterday, the repeat telecast. It was a very, very physical encounter between both teams. So get back to this play. Air Force number 8 making a break.
And here's Pereira sending it to big man once again. And Idda Malgoda puts the kick. Salinder will feel it difficult, but collects it nicely. He's got so much pace running into that channel. And turnover once again. Brilliant work by Air Force, but that came off that tackle, and Idda Malgoda sees the space, puts the kick. Can he get the ball? It was Dick Kumbra who collected the speedster. Now here comes the counter, but referee called him back for the penalty. Idda Malgoda knew that the penalty advantage is coming, so he tried his luck. No sweeper on that occasion.
Yeah, good vision. He knew he had the penalty to his advantage. As we saw again, it started off with the turnover ball, and a good break and a quick ball being presented, and that's the high tackle by Army which was being penalized. And then Idda Malgoda just tried his luck with the good chip kick, but Dick Kumbura did very well from his left wing to cover that and avoid the try. But nonetheless, an opportunity for Air Force to extend this lead. Air Force slowly but surely just getting their foothold on this game. I just feel that Army are just trying to do a bit too much, Sabir, and that's just playing into Air Force's hands. they've got some very experienced forwards. They need to try and slow the pace a bit more, because I think as the game progresses, I doubt whether their forwards will be able to sustain this kind of the pace at which the game is going at.
Charit Seneviratne scored the second try for Air Force. Also referee Priya Suranga. So far he has done a good job. And a brilliant kick by Seneviratne. 17 points to 5. Just piling up the points, Air Force. And as we go into the last quarter, like you said, Abdullah, the fitness will come into the quest.
Yes, the bench is also going to be crucial, especially when it comes to those forwards. And that's why I just feel Army just need to be a bit more smart on how they approach this game.
And that restart collected nicely. Air Force, good run by Amila Bandara. In fact, that's Papsara Hevage, the right winger. Here's Itamal Goda. Again, Air Force attacking inside their own red zone. This is brilliant piece of rugby. But just could not execute on that occasion. Should have kicked it to gain territory. Army taken quickly and knock on. Well, so much enthusiasm by the players. But still the play continues. This is good piece of work, good piece of officiating as well. Big hit by Pandula Bandara, the man with the scrum cap. Here's Idda Malgoda once again. Collected by the scrum half Veera Singh for Army. Here's Gayan Salinda. Long, huge kick collected by Charles Praveen. Madagedar rather. Air Force once again attacking from their own territory. No box kicks from both the scrum halves. They are using Idda Malgoda's boots. Again, that man Veera Singh, the arm is scrum half, and that's a cross kick. Is it, or he could not execute the kick? That's try score Amila Bandara. And here's the space open up. Lovely tackle by Jailal, but Air Force still with position. Inch by inch, they are coming into the opposite territory. Lovely kick this time by Idda Malgoda. And Gayan Salinda will put this into touch. And I'm sure all the players want to take a break. They're just walking up the line.
Yeah, I'm not sure the front rows of both teams will appreciate the way the ball is been going from end to end. You can see the two Air Force prop forwards, they're big men, Charles Praveen and Madagedara. They're big units. So moving from one end to the other is not an easy task for them. And Army on the other side, even experienced veterans like Jailal True will struggle as this game goes on.
Here's a testing line out as Pandula Bandara puts the throw in. Nicely collected, and the gap opens up. Scrum off trying to squeeze in. Nadish Pereira. Here's Ranuka Madagedara now. Great run, although he went laterally. Made some distance, and here's Ita Malgoda. Sending it to Charles Praveen, bursting through. And that's killing the ball at the breakdown.
Yeah, not releasing. That's very correctly called by referee. The tackler has got to release. It's something that I don't think is being monitored enough in the local rugby scenes. As we have a look again, a very direct run by Charles Praveen. And again, I think it was Asoka Jailal who was penalized for not releasing the tackler. So an opportunity for Air Force to get back into Army's half and just spend a bit of time there, really. So far, we've not had many lineouts too, Sabir, hasn't it? And it's also just testament of where both teams have been intent on just trying to keep the ball in play as far as possible. But I think Army need to just try and get back a bit of control in this game. They seem to be losing it with the way they have approached it. Not sure it came with a bit of overconfidence, thinking that they could just run over this Air Force team. But Air Force have definitely turned up to play today.
Bandara. They're taking all the short lineouts, collected well by Javir. Iddamalgoda switching with his number 8, Sarakavaralla, trying to offload. He passed the first tackle. A lovely offload to number 27, and he's all the way to try. What a brilliant rugby by the Air Force. And number 27, I don't have his name on the sheet. Well, not sure who he is, but brilliant piece of work by Veralla, the number 8.
Yes, but you just got to question that midfield defense of Army. It was virtually non-existent. While it was a very powerful run, those are just the one-on-one tackles which the Army defense has got to make. And they've just made this game very, very hard for themselves, Sabir. You've got to question whether there's a bit of complacency on their part, because really the defense was abysmal on that occasion. The midfield defense was virtually not existent. But Air Force, to their credit, the supporting lines of their supporting players was just fantastic.
Well, lovely way of taking his mark. He has his own way. One to the left and then to the right. Senai Ratna. And he misses it. Maybe one step too far to his left.
Yeah, I think Army need to just reassess. We'll come back to that after. As you look, a great, lovely switch. Again, Iddamalgoda drawing defense and passing it to Verhar, who made that initial break. Beautiful supporting lines, and again, the defense from Army virtually non-existent. It's also very, very hard once you get past that first line of defense while you're backtracking to try and stop such a gallant Air Force unit. So Army just need to go settle things down and get back onto the scoreboard as soon as possible. And they've done well by getting that kick-off. They just need to move on a bit.
I think it was number 27. It was Shamin Udaya Kumar. Perhaps he's a try scorer in that flank position. Here's Jalal. Army into the opposite 22 with that restart. Good to win the ball. Can they score one try just before the half time and close the deficit? You need to release the ball quick. Taking so much time by the scrum of Manjula Veerasinghe. This is how they score the first try. 2 to 3 faces and then send the ball out wide. We saw Dik Kumra early on scoring the very first try of this game. Again, another forward play. You should not lose the ball. Otherwise, all the position and all the power play is just in vain. Look at the Air Force contesting at that breakdown.
This is much better by Army, just what they need to just try and attack the defense. Civline of Air Force, just try and control the pace, and that's what they're doing through their bigger forwards.
Now this time Army's replacement. Aravind Karunaratne into contact. Here's Jalal. Made few yards. Here's Bandara. Ashan Bandara dummies through. That's not a good tackle. But referee, yes, he's playing advantage for that tackle rather. But can Army score a try? The inches close. Need their big man. Held up, says referee Priya Suranga. Would be lovely if we can have a replay of that tackle. Here's that Ashan Bandara. What do you think of that, Abdullah?
Yeah, I think he can consider himself very lucky because it went past the 360 degree, isn't it? And I think the linesman would do well to come and have a chat if the referee didn't see it really. So, but just coming back to the phases of play that we witnessed, Sabir, it was much better by Army. They constructed that attack very well. They knew they didn't have space out wide. They attacked the fringes very well, and they really asked some questions from that Air Force defense, and that's what you'd want Army to do a bit more often, rather than trying to play in those outer channels where Air Force seem to be much more comfortable defending.
And also Army is very comfortable with their scrums, not the line-outs. Most of the teams will take a line-out, especially in this position, and try to up that driving maul.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of option they'll take. Will they go for the 8-man drive? Do they believe that they have got the number on this Air Force scrum? Or will we see another number 8 break, and where they will try and create another phase? Or will the ball go first phase to the 3-quarter line? Let's wait and see.
Chamira Silva at the back of the scrum. Again running laterally. It's targeting Iddamal Goda. Army once again using their forwards. Air Force so much patience in terms of their defense. Another number coming in. That's Kasun Maduranga involving into that ruck. Scrum of Veer Singh making sure his forwards are there. You just need to look at both the sides. Sometimes you have the option in the shorter side or the blind side. Another pick and run.
Much better by Army, showing much more patience, and they're really testing this Air Force defensive line. And eventually they get a penalty. So,
well, it's a penalty try. Not sure with the decision, but maybe referee Priyasuranga might saw something just in front of his naked eyes. So it's a 7 points. You don't have to put the conversion. And that's the halftime, says the ref. So some consolation just before the halftime for Army, as they get another valuable 12 points. So it's 12 points to 22, still trailing by 10 points going into the halftime, Abdullah.
yes, well, that last 5 minutes of that first half, could that be the template that we'll see from Army in the second half? We're talking of them of the need to play much more tighter, and they just kept on hammering at that Air Force defensive line, and eventually Air Force started conceding a couple of penalties. And I think that's what they need to do more often. At the beginning of the game, while it was very entertaining, I don't think that suited their style of game, where they were trying to play end-to-end rugby, and that just played into Air Force's hands. So Army, I think, will need to reevaluate their tactics in the second half, because yet 22 points to 12, while it's a sizable lead, it's not an insurmountable lead. So I'm sure Coach Nilufar Ibrahim will bark out the orders and will need to just try and change their tactical thinking going into the second half.
Yes, indeed. Here's that first try. Gayan Salinda with a lovely long pass to Dikkumura. He went to score the very first try. Once again, that came from a penalty called for a scrum. And some high fives. And Iddamal Goda, look at his work rate. Every time he gets the ball, he tried to make his first defense as Amila Bandara from the far corner. The wing recorder cutting inside to make the conversion easy to Seneri Ratna. And this is Charit Seneratna who nailed that conversion. He's been brilliant for Air Force for a long period of time. And Army had few chances, but this is a fancy look pass, but well read by Charit Seneratna. And all the way a 60-meter sprint under the post. Jalal will feel guilty. He had the options onto his right as well as onto his left. But sometimes in rugby you have to accept these things, and try scorer himself putting that conversion. Another penalty for a high tackle. That's how Air Force got their points, and this was probably the best out of all. Lovely switch by Iddamal Goda to Saraka, where he breaks the first, and a bit of twist and turn, and lovely offload to number 27. We don't have his name on the team card, but I assume it's Shamin Uday Kumar. That's a very good try for Air Force. For the first time they are into a 10-point lead going into the halftime of the
Yes, and I think they'll feel very confident coming to that second half, but it'll be interesting to see the kind of tactics that Army will employ. Because as mentioned earlier, the last 5 to 10 minutes, I thought that's the kind of game which they need to do going into the second half.
Yes, we'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with the second half action.
There's no time for saving me. If you want to break loose, then you gotta break free.
Dialog Television per day TV channel card within Dina 4ක bonus. දැන් දින 3කට ගෙවා දින 7ක් කැමතිම channel බලන්න. Hollywood, Bollywood, cricket, විශ්ව දැනුම card. දිවයින පුරා අලවිනියෝජිතයන්ගෙන් දැන් ලබාගත හැක. Dialog Television ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ අංක 1 ටෙලිවිෂන් රසාස්වාදය.
My considered opinion of rugby in Sri Lanka is that there's a lot of passion here. That's easy to see by the way the players play, but also about the crowd, by the crowds that come and watch the games. The way it can improve, I think, is if the players and the coaches concentrate more on the skill acquisition and the detail of the skills. I think mainly in Sri Lanka they concentrate on just the actual process of making a tackle instead of the fine detail of making that tackle right. And it's the same with passing the ball or kicking. If they can concentrate more on the small details, I think there'll be huge advancement here.
Watch the latest seasons of your favorite TV shows on the same day as the US. Good Behavior, Young Sheldon, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Blind Spot, Jane the Virgin, Law and Order True Crime, MacGyver, and many more unfold exclusively on Dialog Television, Sri Lanka's #1 television experience.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The first rule is trust yourself.
Introducing the Dialog TV View Hub. Catch up to 3 days of missed programs. Rewind your favorite moments on TV up to 2 hours. Record your favorite programs when you're not at home. Enjoy thousands of hours of movies, TV series and teledramas on demand. Upgrade to the Dialog TV View Hub now. Visit www.dialog.lk/TV for more information. Dialog Television, Sri Lanka's #1 television experience.
Welcome back to live action. This is Dialog Rugby League 2017-18 season and the last week of the first round clash as Air Force, the underdogs, surprisingly leading by 10 points as they went into the halftime. 22 points to 12. Joining me in the commentary, Abdullah Yusuf. What would be the message from the coaching staff, especially Nilf Ibrahim, Abdullah?
Yes, I think that last few passages of play just before the break where Army managed to get that important score, I think that's the kind of game Army will look to play in the second half. They've got to be a bit more control-driven in how they approach this second half. Air Force, from their point of view, I think just need to try and play the way they have been, trying to play the game in the outer channels, give Idda Malgoda good front foot ball, because he's been devastating whenever he's taken the ball at pace. He's been able to step and maneuver the Army defense around. So I think both teams will need to get their tactics correct in this second half, especially Army, because if they start playing as loosely as they did during that first 50 minutes of that first half, I think they're going to find it very difficult as the second half progresses.
Yes, indeed, and Air Force have been really impressive. They're playing a different rhythm with a different venom we didn't see in the last 6 weeks of play. Experience Idda Malgoda has been brilliant so far. Created both the tries. Here's the restart. Lovely high kick. Collected equally well by Air Force, in fact Army's Adhikaram. And Bandara, in fact Gayan Salinda puts that kick straight away into Air Force fullback. Rumesh Ramdas, here's Idda Malgoda. Lovely pass to Charles Praveen, so flat. It's also another ploy in the modern world of rugby, staying sometimes very flat to get that gain line advantage. Here's the Army now, Gayan Salinda sending out to Dikkumara, the try scorer. Steps in and steps out into contact. Still inside their territory. Here's a Veera Singh sending out wide, lovely break. Here's Ashan Bandara. Good supportive run by number 26. Very good defensive work by Army. That was Kumar Singh. Didn't have much of option, but Army had numbers into the left. Going into contact, sucking in more defense, but not sure whether this is the right decision. But space open up, and Kumar Singh into contact. Come off Veera Singh to Ashan Bandara. Here's Asoka Jayalal going into contact by himself. Can he score? Has he scored? Yes, he has. Asoka Jayalal, he knows how to celebrate, and just what the doctor ordered, but not sure their decision making, Abdullah. They were panicking a bit. They need to be hold on to their patience.
Yeah, but eventually all's well that ends well. But again, it was just that initial break made by Ashan Bandar. I think both fly halves are proving pivotal to the way how this game is going. And Army would have just got a real jolt in that first half break. And striking back immediately. Now it's up to Air Force to just try and get some parity back. Because Air Force, it's been all Army within the just before the break and now just after the break. So it'll be interesting to see how Air Force respond to this minor setback.
Gayan Salinda put the conversion. That is true. So Army scoring early on this second half. Army, just before the half time, they were awarded a penalty try, and that will certainly boost their advantage. And now it's 19 points to 22. All of a sudden, the difference is just 3 points.
Yes, just difference in 3 points, and you can sense the Army supporters also seem to have been awakened by that score. And now there's virtually nothing in it. So I think Army have done very well to get that score at the immediately at the start of the second half, and now it's up to Air Force to try and get some control of possession and try and run this game.
It's not the first time Charles Praveen is nursing his ankle, Abdullah, but if he's out, it's going to be a big loss for Air Force. Not sure whether it's with his toe or ankle, but you can see so much tapes coming in.
Yes, what's been impressive about Praveen is while he has always managed to get over the gain line, also his ball handling. He has taken some very tough passes and also he has offloaded at correct time. So he's showing good all-round.
And that grubber kick as well, Abdullah.
Yeah, well, not sure the front rows should be making too many grubber kicks, but overall his game sense seems to be very, very good.
Here's Iddamal Goda, referee, rightly so, not stopping the play. That's a knock-on advantage for Army. Here's Veerasinghe, first box kick of the game, and that's a good one. Almost, yeah, very well collected. Just a little juggle by the number 27, Manoj Bandara. But it's a turnover. Another rip. Both teams playing advantage, but referee Suranga asked to stop play. Looks like Air Force offside. And Salinda has the opportunity to put some territorial advantage with this kick. He couldn't find the 22, but just outside 22, they will take it. And here's another testing line out for Air Force. Army's been brilliant from their set piece work. They have scored so many tries for the past 6 weeks. Manoj Silva, the experienced former captain of Army, comes in, replaced by Arjuna Vijay Muni. Well collected by Sampath Roshan. Here's that Army charge. Silva trying to pick and go. Long pass to Ashan Bandara. Sending out wide. Army has the chance. Here's Dikkumara. Cuts inside. Beats one. Well held up by Iddamal Goda. Playing advantage. High tackle says referee Suranga. Here's Nana Akara. All the way for the try. So Army changing their gears. 2 early tries in the second half. And Sugat Nana Akara, tight head, scoring this try.
Yes, that's much better by Army. The difference is Sabir, they're showing much more control on how they're playing the game. They're creating the phases, they're drawing that Air Force defense in, and you can see the Air Force defense tiring because they're taking much more direct route throughout this whenever they are attacking, rather than just playing end to end. And Air Force seem to be struggling with that physicality. And it's a fantastic fight back, and with a kick to come, Air Force have already Army have already taken the lead.
Here's that try, lovely pass from Bandara, and Dikkumara cuts in. He was well held up. Referee playing advantage. There was a high tackle. And Nana Akara using his power, bulldozing through the whitewash. Here's Gayan Salinda. And the conversion is good. So Army back into the lead after they scored the very first try in the 10th minute of this game.
You've got to wonder whether the pace at which that first half was played, Sabir, whether it's just taken its toll on Air Force. They just seem to be out of it in this second half. A few of their players on the ground nursing injuries, and I think they just need to just get some position and just try and build up a few phases, because if they continue to be in defensive mode, I don't think they'll be able to last the rest of the 60 minutes, rather the rest of this second half.
Yeah, Army 26, Air Force 22, exciting stuff. Here's the replacement, Manoj Silva, straight away into traffic. He's a powerful lad. Veerasinghe sending it to the shorter side. Army gaining territory. Another good run by Tirusha Adhikaram, the lock forward. Here's Ashan Bandara sending it to the try scorer Sugat Nana Akara. He's made like 5 meters. And here's Asoka Jailal, a bit flat and fast pass. by the scrum of Veer Singh Bandara, switching directions. Here's the centre, Madhuranga, thinking of what to make in terms of their decision. Good run by Karuna Ratna, the replacement hooker. Counter attack is good from Air Force. Looks like a turnover. And Army managed to secure the position. Bandara acting as halfback. Here's that run by the number 8, Chamira Silva. And Bandara puts this kick into space. Lovely time kick. Almost collected by the number 21. Another opportunity, but very good execution by Bandara.
Yes, they would have liked that ball to remain in play, but again, Army just controlling these passages of play from the second half, and Air Force just seem to be totally at 6s and 7s. And I think one reason for that, Sabir, is they're continuously having to defend. And to Army's credit, they're not turning position over that easily. And I think it's just taking a lot out of the Air Force team.
Two players down on the ground off your screens. Number 27 for Air Force, the try scorer.
Well, we spoke about this at the during that first half. With the ball, teams will be able to maintain this the pace at which the game is being played, and it seems to be taking its toll on both teams now, and especially Air Force, because in the second half we're just approaching the 10th minute of the second half, and they just seem to be totally out of it. So you have to question whether the pace of the game which they try to play, they try to run Army off their feet, whether it's coming back to hurt them in the second half.
Still a plenty of time remaining, and already 26 to Army, 22, 50 points being scored. Is it 50? No, 48. Good to see that Army band is on fire. They were quiet for a while when Air Force was leading in the first half.
Yes, we're wondering whether there was a band actually in that first half, because Air Force just seemed to have had the measure of Army, but with these two scores in the second half, they've just taken the beat up a notch really.
Scrum off Nadish Pereira. Here's the scrum. Saraka Viral at the back of the scrum. A penalty advantage, but he goes to the short side. Good run by number 25. It was in fact Donald Frank coming off the bench. Here's Siddhamal Goda.
They have meant wide. They should have got it out, Sabir. That was easily a 4-on-2 situation out wide. It's just that kind of opportunities which Air Force need to take.
He shouldn't be panicking. Here's Pandula Bandara, the hooker. You just need a lot more communication than this. Siddhamal Goda puts this aerial. Nicely taken by Army's replacement wing three-quarter. Gayan Salin acting as halfback. Here's Jailal. He needs support. Army still have numbers out wide. Ashan Bandara trying to snipe through once again. Almost through that channel. But here's the opportunity for Army. Good run. And a lovely offload by Madhuranga, the centre. This time number 8, Silva acting as halfback. Army from their own inside the 50 meter all the way to the opposite 22, almost reaching to that 5 meter mark and conceding that penalty.
Yes, well, Air Force, I think, are a bit lucky on that occasion because they were on the back foot. They were really on their last few feet, but then Army just, I think, believe, just going off there, not maintaining their feet, and being penalized. So a bit fortunate on that occasion. But again, Army, they just seem to be an entirely transformed team in this second half, isn't it?
It is, but for Air Force, looks like they are a team to play for 60 minutes. Look at the body language. Hands on the knees, hands on the head. Two players picked up cramps.
Yes, well, it's what happens when you are continuously having to defend. But it does take a lot out of you, and with this kind of heat, it will definitely take its toll. So just for that reason, I think Air Force just need to get a bit of possession and try and build up a few phases. And more importantly, try and play the game in Army's half as much as possible.
Log on to your number one sports hub, www.thepapare.com, for the ThePapare segment. All the junior actions. Can get all the updates and the photographs. Facebook.com/ThePapare. And that's a pretty good kick into touch by Ida Malgoda. So we still have lots of time remaining, half an hour to go. We can expect so many tries coming in. So far it's been a really cracking encounter. Air Force were leading. They went with a 12 points lead to the halftime, 22 points to 12. And since the second half kickoff, for the last 10 minutes, it was all Army. Pandula Bandara to put the line out. Well collected by Nilantha Jayavira. Here's Ida Malgoda sending it to Seneviratna into contact. Well, knock-on advantage. We need to hold on the position. Unfortunate for Air Force.
Yeah, it just shows the momentum shift, isn't it? It's having an impact on the way Air Force is playing. They didn't make these kind of errors where they lost ball in contact, and on that occasion, once again, I believe it was the experienced Charit Seneviratna who, going into contact, losing possession. So another great attacking opportunity for Air Force. They're just outside the 22 with an option of attacking onto the right or left, and I'm sure they'll be looking to try and get one more score just to try and widen this lead. And if they do get another score, I can't see Air Force, with their effort thus far in this second half, coming back from that kind of a situation.
Few changes coming in for Air Force. Army's set piece has been brilliant so far, especially the scrum. And they are a capable team to score from their base, from their scrums, which we witnessed during the last few weeks. Manjula Veerasinghe. Now Army opting to go to the shorter side. Ashan Bandara to their centre. Lianage. Tirusha Adhikaram, the big lock forward, into contact. Jailal just looking for the space. Here's Veerasinghe once again giving it to Madhuranga. Taking a lot of time. Pandula off feet on that occasion. Another good hit by Army. Here's Bandara. Lovely piece of switch and a good running angle by Kasun Madhuranga. Very flat, well collected by the hooker Aravinda Karunaratne. Look at the Army lineup, and that's the try scorer Nana Akara. So much numbers and space, and unfortunately knocks it on this time. That looks like Manoj Bandara, the acting captain.
Yes, Bandara had the option of going out wide because he had enough of players out wide. As we look at that again, decided to go in, would have had an opportunity, but unfortunately on Air Force, Army knocking the ball on. So a bit of a reprieve for Air Force, but it's been all Army, isn't it, Sabir? And I think that the good thing they have done so far is they've been very direct in their approach. They're running at the Air Force defense. They're making them make countless tackles, and that is just taking its toll little by little. And I think the more they do this as the game progresses, you'll find that Air Force will struggle to maintain their discipline, and will struggle to maintain the pace of the game at which this second half has gone on. So I think the tactics have been correct. They're running very straight. They're recycling the ball much quicker. And also the other thing is, I think the Air Force defensive line is not coming up. They're letting the Army team run at them, so which means that Army is winning all the tackles and they're constantly on the back foot. So those are the areas which I think Air Force will need to look at as this game goes forward.
Yes, indeed, and a lovely opportunity to put some pressure into the Air Force scrum. Nanakara, Jalal and Silva, the front row for Army. Nadish Pereira to feed the ball in. There's the pressure coming in. Very good pressure. And still inside the jail, Air Force trying to use their big man. Replacement prop forward, Gihan Pereira into contact. Idam Algoda trying to play safe, but this will give another boosting opportunity for Army. And if Army wins with the bonus point, I think they have already scored that bonus point. The win will put them into third position going into the break.
Yeah, that's right. A great situation for them to be. But what will be interesting is going into that second round from place number 3 to number 6. It's going to be very, very tight and very, very competitive. So I think everything to play for all these teams in terms of rankings. While we do acknowledge the fact that Kandy seemed to be ahead of everyone else going into that second round, for the other remaining positions, I think it's going to be a very interesting battle.
Bandara with a lovely throw in. Here's Army's charge now, trying to set that maul and drive forward. Controlling nicely. Aravinda Karunaratna, the hooker. One says referee Priya Suranga. He breaks through. He needs support. He cannot be isolated. Number 27 for Air Force trying to counter Shaminda Udayakumara, but Army is still with possession. Will it be a turnover? They have big numbers. Jalal trying to suck many defenders as much as he can, but Army still with position inside the 5 meter. Here's Ashan Bandara giving it to the inside center, Madhuranga. Air Force hanging on to their defense. Here's Jalal. Good tackle, going very low. Look at the numbers onto the left. Need just quick hands. Manoj Silva sending it to Dick Kumara, but knocks it on. Dear oh dear, this is not acceptable. Not the first time in the last 4 to 5 minutes.
Yes, that was really poor by Army. They just needed to get the ball in hand and just do the basics correct. But unfortunately, they were all aligned too flat, Sabir. If you have a look at that again, they needed to be at a bit more depth. And just being flat resulted in that pass not being able to be made. So another reprieve for Air Force. Let's see whether they'll be able to get out of at least the 22, because they've been stuck in their own 22 for far too long.
When you have a 4v1 situation, even any team in the world will score that.
Yeah, I think the mistake they did was the players in the outer channels were formed far too flat. They needed to play with a bit more depth. And one possible reason, because you saw the number 2 there. So when the number 2 is the windows outside but inner channels, it can cause a bit of confusion.
Here's Air Force trying to come out of jail. Good pressure by Army. Well, another knock on. So comedy of errors coming here, but Army, another good opportunity for them to go into that 30 points mark.
Yes, I think you could attribute that turn of possession over and in that scrum, the way how Army destroyed, to the way they have approached the second half. They have been taking the narrow routes, they have been attacking the fringes, and they have been making this Air Force pack make a lot of tackles. And it seems to be taking its toll now on Air Force.
And it's not the same Air Force front row. 2 replacements coming in, Donald Frank and Gihan Pereira. So no big tankers like Charles Praveen and Ranuka Madagedera. So that's another plus point for Army. Here's Silva, lovely pass to Nanakara. Army slowly, steadily, will they score on their third attempt? No, knocks it on. Well. Coach.
Seems that Army are intent on not scoring, Sabir. They're giving enough of opportunities for Air Force to clear their lines, but Air Force on their part too have been helped with some pretty elementary mistakes, and they've just brought more pressure upon themselves really. So that's about the third opportunity that Army have squandered within the last 7 to 8 minutes. And Air Force, unfortunately for them, just yet find themselves just 5 meters out of their own try line. So I'm sure Army will look at putting in another big scrum here. I'm sure Air Force on their part will look at trying to get channel 1 ball to the number 8 as soon as possible, and where he will break and just create another phase.
Finally, good pick and run by Nuan Pereira. Beg your pardon, it's Amal Dasanayaka, the number 8. Still inside the jail, Iddamal Goda. Opting his left foot, under pressure. Could have won that ball into the try scoring machine, number 14. Almost the end of the third quarter of this game. Having a word with the assistant referee. Not sure what is this for. Samira Bulat Singhal, the number 28, getting a warning. Maybe there was a high tackle, or maybe tackling in the air.
It seemed to be tackling in the air, Sabir, but if that's the case, I don't think there was much in it. But nonetheless, I think Air Force will be pretty thankful for that call. Despite all this, Air Force are yet 4 points behind, so everything to play for going into this last quarter. I think Air Force just need to try and get some possession, just get back into Army's half, spend some time there, just apply a bit of pressure. And I think the way Air Force can do that is to be true to the way they played in that first half, to try and play with a bit more width, get Iddamal Goda into the game much more often, get him much more front foot ball where he can use his quick feet to get behind that first line of Army's defense.
Here's Iddamal Goda now, giving it to Donald Frank. Great defensive work by Army, trying to hold him up. And number 22 goes down. That's Shaminda Udayakumara. Air Force for the last 10 minutes still struggling to come into the opposite half. They are still playing inside their zone because Army had all the position. And lovely long pass from Iddamal Goda. Just bump off the chest in the far corner. That was the wing three-quarter, Amila Bandara. Nadish Pereira sending it to his forward, replacement number 1, Gihan Pereira. Now using the forwards for the short pods from both the side, trying to gain a yard by yard, but this time looks like he's going for the box kick, but instead he was sending out to Iddamal Goda, who puts that thumping kick. Gayan Sal in the fumbles. Finally, after 12 minutes, Air Force entering the Army half.
Yes, and from this situation, if Army go to lose, they will look back on those 3 opportunities that they lost, Sabir. They should be in the 30s now in terms of the scoreboard, but they've made some crucial mistakes when the line has just been beckoned them. And wonderful up and under by Idam Al Goda. There's really no excuse for Gayan Sarin to knock the ball because the sun is at his back. There's a shade. He would have been very clearly, the ball would have been very clearly visible to him, but been forced into that error. So Air Force probably for the first time in this half are in Army's 22 and a great attacking opportunity.
And once again the scrum will be tested, but you need the senior players to be communicate. That's what you want, especially that man who plays in that pivotal position like Abdullah mentioned early on. Gayanta Idam Al Goda, he was brilliant, sensational in the first half. Nadish Pereira to Idam Al Goda, trying to use that decoy and a loop. Lovely work. Surya Krishan sending it to Amila Bandara, juggles and collected well. He cuts inside, made lovely yards. Can Air Force score one try? Idam Al Goda once again. Oh dear, knock on by Gihan Pereira. That is very costly, but is there an offside play by Army? Well, referee Priya Suranga. Looks like that's an offside.
I think it was a no arms tackle. That's what the referee seemed to indicate. Yeah, just going with the shoulders, a no arms tackle by one of the Army players. So an opportunity for Air Force. I think very wisely they decided to take the kick, which will just put them 1 point behind. So after all those attacks by Army, it just shows, Sabir, that if you don't get points on the board when you do get opportunities, it can come back to haunt you. And just going into the last 15 minutes, it's just a 1 point game. So while Army would have had the opportunity of just taking this game completely away from Air Force, they will be in a almighty scrap going into this last 15 minutes.
Yes, indeed, a very good call, without a doubt. Experienced Henry Ratna. Certainly with the kickable distance. And he really nails that. So just a point margin now. You come into opposite half, you just score the points and you go back, whereas Army had few opportunities, more than 3 I guess, and it was just in vain.
Now when it's a 1 point game, Sabir, more than possession, I think territory is going to be crucial. So both teams will need to just play tactically a bit smarter. They'll need to just play as much as possible in the opposition's half, because if they can just extract a penalty either way, and with just 3 points, will just give either team a win. So more than position, territory going into this last 15 minutes is going to be crucial.
Indeed, this game will go down to the wire, and the restart by Gayan Salinder was well collected by Donald Frank. And another knock on. Army will take this. That's Sampath Kumara, the replacement, going into contact. Here's the experienced Jalal. Support just arrives on time. Ashan Bandara, can he make out of this? Lovely step, and Ashan Bandara is going all the way. Ashan Bandara scoring that try, probably the most try scorer for Army. And this season, he's having his season of his life so far.
Yes, well, it just comes back to that knock-on from their own half, Sabir. We were just talking about playing it smart, playing it in the opposition's half, and then Air Force decide to just try and run it from their own half and just giving possession over. And to Army's credit, they regathered that ball, created a few quick phases, and therefore Jalal first taking it in, as you can see from that replay. And then Ashan Bandara, with the Air Force line completely split wide open. Charit Senviratna drifting wide, just leaving Bandara. So, and Bandara from that kind of a distance, it's a no-brainer that he's going to score. So Air Force will just only look at blaming themselves for this poor decision making, really, and an opportunity for Army to open an 8-point lead.
When you especially send the ball to your front row players, you should know how to send. With too much space on it, it's always going to be difficult for your front row players, even in the international level. as Gayan Salinda puts that 2 points.
Yeah, the other thing is what they probably want to do to try and create. I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt to try and create a couple of phases for Ida Malgoda to clear the line. But that front row forward was far too wide. It was normally where a fly half would stay. And generally, as we know, front row forwards are not very apt at collecting the ball under pressure so far wide. And that just resulted in their knock-on, and Air Force have paid a heavy price for that.
So the 1 point margin becomes an 8 point margin now as Ida Malgoda puts the restart. Here's the acting skipper for today, Manoj Bandara, straight away into contact. Lovely box kick coming in by the scrum of Veer Singh. Collected well by Nuan Pereira. Rumesh Ramdas rather than number 15. Nuan Pereira, the left foot kicker. We didn't see him getting start in this season. Good running by Air Force player. Once again a turnover. And Jailal from that corner bursting through, made valuable meters, and Bandara knocks it on. Too much eagerness on that occasion.
Yes, Air Force once again in contact, losing the ball, Sabir, and Army just ready to pounce on anything that they can get. So you just have to wonder what kind of game Air Force is trying to adopt. Just seem to be in two minds, not knowing what to do, whether to play tight, whether to play wide. I think from their point of view, they've just got to take a chance and try to play the game in the wider channels, because just trying to play it along the fringes, it just doesn't seem to suit their style of game. And Army, when they turn possession over, are very, very dangerous.
Here's that knock on, trying to pick and run. Should have given, he had 3 players onto his left and then support. Those are the little decision making sometimes come into count. But Bandara has been brilliant this season for the Soldiers. Scored a hat-trick against CRN FC. And good to see that most of the fly-off like Bandara, Ida Malgoda coming into the action. Also Mohammad Afzal, considering to other fly-offs like the national fly-offs, Fazil Marja didn't have a good season. So has Dulaj Pereira.
Yeah, well, it's also the style of play, isn't it? I mean, Fazil in his prime was a very good running fly half, but now with age, he seems to be much more tactically driven. He gets the other guys around him to play well. Dulaj is also along the same mode, but guys like Ida Malgoda, Ashan Bandara, they're not afraid to take the ball to the line. They like to have the ball and try to make those initial breaks. So it's the different styles of plays. I don't think you could say one is right and the other is wrong. But just coming back to fly half play in the second half, I think where Air Force, one reason why Air Force has constantly not been able to make much inroads to this Army defense is Ida Malgoda hasn't got as much front football as he did in the first half. He looked very, very dangerous whenever they had front football, but he's been very, very quiet. And that, I think, has also played in Army's favor.
Absolutely spot on. And we're heading into the final 10 minutes of this game. Here's the replacement scrum half breaking through. Ida Malgoda sending it to Frank. Nuan Pereira playing as a halfback. Used to play at the fullback position. Thumping up and under. Gayan Salinda this time collects well. Looks like that tackle is fine, but no, referee ThePapare is just calling the playback. Looks like there's a knock-on from Gayan Salinda. Here's another very good opportunity for Air Force.
Yes, Ida Malgoda seems to have identified a chink in Salinda in the second half, and he's testing him with some good high kicks, and more importantly, Air Force are applying the pressure from those kicks, and that's resulting in Salinda making those mistakes. So another opportunity for Air Force. Let's see what kind of decision they will make. I'd like to see them playing it more in the 13, 14 channels where they are much more comfortable, and just try and move this Army pack around a bit, because Army seem to be much more contented playing the direct route. So let's see what kind of choice Ida Malgoda makes.
Referee Suranga giving some word of instruction to the front rowers. Replacement coming in as well. Asoka Jailal is off.
Yes, well, Jailal, despite making that one blunder in the first half, I thought he's been really, really good from then on. He's always got Army on the front foot whenever he's carried the ball. And he's been a real servant for this Army team.
That's pretty decent scrum. Good piece of pressure by the soldiers. However, the ball still with Air Force. Idda Malgoda once again trying to use that loopy run. Lovely pass. Here's Frank now into contact. Using the shorter side once again. Good defense by Army. Air Force will have the throw in now.
It's a very good scrum by Army, just not allowing Air Force to get any good clean position, and that's an area where I think the Air Force forwards have struggled, especially in the second half. And you could probably see the results of the first half hectic pace at which the game was played. Sabir just seemed to be taking its toll going into the last 5 minutes on this Air Force pack, because they've virtually been on the back foot throughout of the second half.
Some interesting names at the background on your screen. Tony Amit, Anil Jayasinghe, Shamrat Fernando, and Anna Vijayaratna on the far left. So many injuries, without a doubt. We are talking about the intensity of this game has been really brilliant. Here, this is that opportunity. Idda Malgoda acting as halfback, sending it to number 25. That's Donald Frank. We are back live now. Amal Disanayaka with the throw-in. Can Air Force drive this forward? And here's that maul. They could not make any momentum with this with that maul. Lovely run by Dinesh Veeraratne. Nuwan Pereira taking a lot of time. Idda Malgoda. Frank using his power. He's been okay for Air Force since he came off the bench. Just trying to kiss that 22-meter mark. Veeraratne again. Here's Nuwan Pereira to Idda Malgoda. Here's Jan Seelagama, last year St. Anthony's player. Here's Nuwan Pereira trying to go by himself. Idda Malgoda sending it to Gihan Pereira. Idda Malgoda, lovely step. He's almost through, but unfortunately slips in that last minute. Nuwan Pereira picks and run. Just need to be a little patient, although they have to score twice for the victory. 6 minutes or so, it's quite a lot of time, especially in this dying stage. And going forward and scrum down Air Force ball. There was an unplayable occasion.
Once again, Sabir, we saw Idda Malgoda just being given that opportunity, the small gap. So far, I thought Army have done very well to just close him out whenever he's tried to make a break. But once you're on phase ball and you're constantly on the front foot, gaps will open up however good your defense is. And that's not just the Air Force pack, unfortunately, haven't been able to give that kind of good solid ball for Idda Malgoda to do his thing in this second half. And I think that's the reason why Air Force have found themselves on the back foot, really.
Clock has stopped. Still have over 4 minutes remaining. But it's not the referee's clock, just for your information. We also have some highlights coming in. Log into www.thepapare.com. And we also have to talk about the man of the match. It's going to be a hard decision for Abdullah Yusuf. We'll come back to that. Nuwan Pereira, the ball just comes through Donald Franks from the back of that scrum. Turnover, playing advantage. Army inside their jail. Veerasinghe, he's been good so far, marshalling his troops. And Gayan Salinder puts that kick. He's just aiming that bin.
Yeah, poor by Air Force once again. They've just got themselves to blame because during this last quarter they have had enough of opportunities to try and get the score, but at crucial moments they either turn position over or they seem to knock on, and that has just enabled Air Force to just clear their lines.
Here's another line out. And that's not straight. And also closing the gap. Free kick for Air Force. Nuwan Pereira takes it quickly. Not 10 meters, playing advantage once again. Frank acting as the halfback. Idham Algoda with a long pass. Another knock on. Referee will come for that advantage for not 10 meters by the Soldiers. Senay Ratna rushing through. It's all about decision making. We'll ask the referee how many minutes remaining. Big run by Frank. The newcomers, fresh from the bench. The work rate is very much high in this game. Here's Silagama. He cannot just be isolated. Penalty advantage for the Airmen. Another good run by the big forward Amal Disanayaka. Long pass by Nuwan Pereira to Idham Algoda. A chance here. Cuts inside. Good defense coming in. That's Air Force number 11, Anjana Vinod, had the opportunity. Idham Algoda once again with a long pass. Dinesh Veeraratne knocks it on, but they still have possession. But I think the time is ticking. They don't have much option to score twice. Nuwan Pereira has to come for the mark. He has to come back. So much booing from the Army fans. Here's a quick tap being taken, and Amal Dasanayaka, the tanker. Another pick and run. A try on the money. Another pick just inches away. Looks like a try being scored. And that's the number 1 for Air Force, Gihan Pereira. Scoring that try.
Is it a bit too late for Air Force, Sabir? Shouldn't have done this earlier, because I think we just got about 30 seconds remaining. Senay Ratna takes the drop kick to try and slot this kick over, but fortunately that's it, Sabir. But what an entertaining game it has been by both teams, and what a way to end this final game. So we're down to select the man of the match. It's been a really, really tough call, Sabir, but I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. Normally the man of the match is selected by the winning team, but for his sheer individual brilliance and his play, I would like to go outside the box and select Gayant Idham Algoda, the Air Force fly half, who has been absolutely fantastic. His play, his game management has just kept Air Force in this game, really. And his decision making, his ability to penetrate that first line of defense has been excellent, and he's been the standout player for Air Force in a losing cause nonetheless. But if you permit me, I'd like to go with him as our man of the match.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Abdullah, correctly so, because he's been one-man warrior for Air Force. He didn't have much of a support. He took so much responsibility under his shoulders. But talking about that conversion, Charit Seniratna, I hope he asked the referee how many minutes remaining. But if that's the last play, he don't have to take the conversion. If there's 5 or 10 seconds remaining, they could have taken the restart.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to know whether the player actually knew the rule as it were, but nonetheless, it's a game where both teams really had opportunities and not taken. And as we suspected in that first half, the game was played at such a frantic pace. We knew that it was just not going to be sustainable. And as we came into the last quarter, we saw both teams making much more errors. And eventually, Army can consider themselves a bit lucky to have pulled this game off. But on the other hand, I think Air Force have just themselves to blame because they had their opportunities as well. But at crucial moments, losing the ball in contact, not making the correct decisions. And that resulted in Army just pulling this game off by a wafer-thin margin of 1 point. But I think it was a fantastic game to close this first round of the Dialog League.
Yeah, without a doubt, one of the finest performances by the Air Force in this first round. And they have 1 week break. I'm sure with the new coaching staff coming in, they have plenty of work to do. Let's have a look at the highlights. This is how Army started the second half. Dikkumura going into contact. They were trailing by 10 points going into that half time. And the first 10 minutes of the second half, Army completely dominated. Here's Big Nanayakara, the tight head prop, scoring that first try and narrowing the deficit. Nanayakara once again, but this is another costly opportunity. Not once, they had plenty of chances inside the 22 meter. But Nilfa Ibrahim's team unfortunately just could not capitalize.
Yes, and then Air Force hitting back through penalty by Charit Seniviratna. Actually, between that 60 and 70 minute period, Army definitely had the opportunity to take this game away, but they just made it a bit hard on themselves. And then Ashan Bandara with some lovely front foot ball, Seniviratna buying the dummy, and Bandara using all his guile to just waltz over for that with that second try in the first half, which pretty much gave Army the cushion that they needed.
Yes, indeed. And after this, the try, Salinder with the conversion, too easy for him. And at 1 point, the score was so close, 25 points, 26.
And this was the final try. Nonetheless, a bit too late. Air Force had their opportunities before that. Prop Gihan Pereira going over, and Seniviratna taking the conversion, but with that it was the final whistle. So at the conclusion, despite trailing 22 points to 12 at half-time, Army is storming back with a good first quarter of that second half to take the lead, and eventually just holding on to a narrow 33 points to 32, and a wonderful game to end the first round of the Dialog League.
That's right. So the story out here, 33 for Army, 32 for Air Force, and we'll see you with the second round action, and we wish you all a very happy Christmas. And that's all I have from the commentary box, along with our technical team and Abdullah Yusuf, and it's good night.
We go, way down we go, so way down we go, way down we go. Whoa, you let your feet run wild. Time has come as we all go down. Yeah, but for the folk, my heart, do you dare to look them right in the eyes? Yeah. Oh, 'cause they will run you down to the door. Yeah, someday we'll run you down till you fall. And they will run you down till you fall. Yeah, till you can't grow no more. And we're down we go, and where